Hi, everybody. My name is Matt Brown, and welcome to the Direct Private Investment Show. In this video, we're going to be talking to you and taking you on a journey with us inside the Carofin investment process, which is very important for investors to understand. With me on the line, or in studio, I should say, is none other than Julia Gray and Bruce Smith. Julia, Bruce, welcome to the show. So let's kick off with some introductions. I know our audience need to know who exactly are you guys, so I'd love to start with you, Julia. Tell us a bit about what you do at Carofin.
I handle operations and investor relations at Carofin.
Very good. Bruce Smith?
I work primarily, among many roles, I work primarily welcoming investors to the firm, helping them understand what we do and ensuring that what we do is appropriate for them.
So Bruce, sticking with you for a moment, when we talk about investors and the investment sign-up process, what types of investors are actually in play here? Because it's not for everyone.
No, it isn't. And there are three different types of investors with Carofin. You have individuals who are accredited, and I'm going to explain that in a second. You have family offices, and you have institutional investors. So in terms of being accredited, those are people who either have $1 million in assets outside of their primary residence, or they have earned $200,000 or more in the last 2 years each year, and are likely to earn that same amount or higher this year. That's what it means to be accredited.
So Bruce, if an accredited investor is watching us and viewing us right now, why should they sign up? Like, what happens at the end of it?
Well, if they look at our website, they can see particular deals that are available to them, as well as some upcoming deals, but they can't actually invest. So by going through the registration process, they then become a potential investor, and they can now not only look at the deals that were available before, there may be some additional deals that they can see, but most importantly, they can go into the due diligence files and really kick the tires pretty hard on a particular investment and spend a lot of time doing their own due diligence to determine whether that investment makes most sense to them.
Perfect, thank you. And you obviously have a newsletter which you guys send out, I believe, once a month. There's, I think, over 13,000 subscribers to that. So there's a lot of great content in that. You have a knowledge base as well. And potentially sticking with you, Bruce, Julia, will come to you in 1 minute. I know you have a lot to say also. But walk us through the process here. Like, what actually are the steps involved in an accredited investor signing up with Carofin to get access to the investment opportunities that you guys present to investors?
Well, first you go to carofin.com. You look on the landing page of the website. There's a sign up button. You click on that. We ask you a couple of questions, mostly contact information. How did you find us? Then on the next page, you click on the calendar button to set up a call with me. And we have a conversation when that takes place. And I'll take you through what happens there if you'd like.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. So really the conversation covers three primary topics. One, most investors want to ask me, how does Carofin work? What do we do? How long have we been around? I take them through 26 years, and we've raised $1.3 billion in assets across 200 different securities. More importantly, I'll spend some time talking to them about how we're structured. So not only are we an investment bank where we originate a transaction, we structure it in a way that makes most sense both for the investor as well as for the company. But then after we bring a deal to market through our broker-dealer, then we support the investors throughout that deal. So Julia will talk about the portal where all the information is held for investor updates. But most importantly, if occasionally a deal does go awry, we're there. We're investment bankers, and we know how to restructure these transactions so that investors are best protected in the event that something goes wrong. So those are that's the first subject that we'll cover. The second is really accreditation, and I just talked to you about what is involved with that. So assuming you're accredited, we continue the conversation. And here's where it gets touchy-feely, if you will. I'm going to talk about things about you. What's your age? What's your risk profile? What's your alts experience? Have you done alternatives for a long time, or are you really brand new to it? And if you are brand new to it, I'm going to spend a fair amount of time talking about the risks and the potential rewards of investing in alts. Remember, these are private investments that can't be resold. You can't hypothecate them. You can't lend. You can't borrow against them. You can't sell them before their time, before their maturity. So there is some risk involved with this type of thing. And if you say to me, my risk profile suggests that I don't want to lose any of my principal, this is not the area that you should be in if your risk profile is that conservative. However, if you are willing to experience the potential risk of some or all of your capital, then this is a great place to come and check, look for opportunities. The next thing is really, what's your current portfolio look like? Is it stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, ETFs, and the like? What I'm looking for when I ask you that question is I want to see if you are relatively well diversified. Years ago, I was lending to chief executives of companies that had just gone public, and I was lending $20 and $30 million to these folks against their own securities, their own company's securities. And they were buying more of their stock. A highly risky venture. So what I like to listen for is I want to see that you've got some diversification in your public securities, and then we'll talk about your private security portfolio and see what kind of approach you're taking with those. We want to see people who are investing 5, 10, 15% of their portfolio in alternatives. Those alternatives, those direct private investments, will provide a balance between the volatility of the stock market with the stability of these private securities. Now, that doesn't mean that there will be total stability, but it on average, historically, you'll see a smoothing out of the waves of value in your overall portfolio if you invest some percentage in privates. So that's the kind of conversation we have. It can last. If you're in the business, for instance, I am an investor, and I'm allowed to invest not because I have $1 million, but because I'm in the business and I've passed my securities license. Those people, when I get them on the phone, it's really easy to have a quick conversation with them because they already know the risks and they understand the benefits of diversification, et cetera. Whereas, again, 2 weeks ago, I had a young guy on the phone, delightful guy, very interested in investing in this arena, but he had just barely made $200,000 over the last couple of years, and he didn't have a lot of liquidity. So, it was tap the brakes, let's go slowly, and I spent probably 45 minutes going over the risks and potential rewards of this kind of product.
So, fantastic. Thanks, Bruce. So it seems like it's quite a thorough process. Julia, I think this is where you come in. So assuming Matt Brown, the investor, or maybe one of our investors watching us right now, they've met with one of the investment bankers like Bruce, and they've, signed up and they provided information or the relevant supporting information to prove that they're accredited, I would imagine. Julia, how do you support the investment process?
Well, what I do is I actually provide the documentation for the onboarding, which is a part of the operations part. And that is, getting to know our investor. They will receive customer record forms via DocuSign, and it's a new account application. And that's the first step. After we receive their documentation, then, we need copies of their identification and things of that nature so that we know who we're dealing with. And then we receive the copy of their accredited investor letter. Once everything's in place and compliance approves them as an investor with Carofin, then I send them the closing documents for the investment that they're interested in. And they also receive those via DocuSign. And, once they sign, we receive those back. then at that point, there's another process with the funding. And, so I send them that information as well, normally via email. One of the things in the process is that the investor can constantly have contact with me, and I contact them on everything so they know, where they are in the process. Once funding has happened and is complete, I send them an email and let them know that everything's fine. We received your wire, and you'll get a copy of the signed closing documents in the mail. Another thing that I handle with the investors is that they will get investor update emails as well, because they're signed up with us. So they'll also get an email saying, that an investor update has occurred for the investment that they invested in. And I also send them emails to let them know that, we've put updates on carafin.com. I also handle the distributions, principal interest payments on, debt investments. They can go on the website, carafin.com, and under account history, they'll see, the principal and interest that's been paid on their investment. But they also receive a copy of the amortization, payment schedule via email, because I send that to them as well, to let them know that this is the breakdown of the payment that they received for the month.
Brilliant. Okay, cool. And how long does this actually take? So let's just say from the moment I sign up on your website, Bruce, to the moment that Julia is sending me, dividend payment reports. How fast is this process?
It's very quick. It all depends on you as the investor. If you have, the money available and you sign your closing documents, well, the first thing is if you sign your onboarding documents immediately, I can go ahead and get, you approved as an investor. That's 24 hours. Once that occurs and, you know that you want to go into a particular investment, I send you the closing documents immediately. So it's all based on the investor, how quickly they sign their closing documents, how quickly they wire the funds. And if they do have the money available and they don't have to sell and, and wait for settlement and all that stuff at another investment firm, it's a 48-hour process.
It's amazing. So it's really quick and easy to do. And it sounds to me that, if you are an investor looking to work with Carofin and get access to these opportunities, that you're with them at every step of the way, not only from an onboarding perspective, but also from a presentation of offers perspective or investment opportunities. And then even post that investment, what I'm hearing is there's a lot of post-investment engagement as well. So at every step of the investment process, you really take care of your investment partners.
That's one of the things that we pride ourselves on, is that we are with the investor the lifetime of the investment. So even after, we get their closing documents and they've wired the funds, and, that we constantly stay in contact with them throughout the life of the investment.
Yeah, and this, and also from my discussions with you, Bruce, is that you've got some investors that have made more than one investment with you. I think there was one that has done something like 16 different deals with you guys.
So we have a stable of investors who have been with us for decades at this point. And many of them have invested 20, 30 times with us. Somebody who comes to us generally starts slowly, as I mentioned earlier, but on average, we'll have 2, 3, 4 investments a year, quite often, from our new investors. So it's, I think they like the treatment they receive. I think they understand that we work very hard to vet these deals, to present them in an easily digestible format. Julie does an incredible job signing them up and getting them an account. And then the hand-holding afterwards, I think we're unique on the street. I guess we can't call it the street. We're not Wall Street.
Retail street, we say it. Accredited investors. Well, look, thank you guys so much for being on the show. I think we've shined an amazing light on what actually happened. So from an investor experience perspective, Julia, Bruce, thank you for being on the show. And my name is Matt Brown, and we'll see you again soon.